Originally, I was going to talk to you about finding ways to shift from working really hard and passing down to our kids a format for achievement and high achievement versus passing down a blueprint for how kids can actually rest and how rest is important for the body. But just before getting ready to share that information with you all, my preteen just, as the old folks call it, sass, talked back to me after I literally have been trying to be the most patient parent and trying to make sure that all of her needs are taken care of, that she still has things that she's responsible for and things that she needs to show up just as a human being, but trying to have this healthy balance in doing that. And she just went a little bit too far this morning. So, welcome back. It's going to be a really short video because I'm still pretty upset. And because the things that I do and the things that when I do push myself, it is always for my family. It's for them, it's not for me. And so this is actually just reminding me of a different way in terms of taking a look at rest. And that just has to deal with the window of tolerance. So if you're not familiar with that term, window of tolerance, that comes from the trauma world. And a lot of times when I'm sitting down and talking to my clients about window of tolerance, I'll talk to them about this place of hypoarousal and hyperarousal. So this morning, we were getting a whole bunch of just different things ready in terms of paying my kids some extra chores that they were doing, to getting some things taken care of that they needed to take care of. I'm also trying to take care of the stuff the dog needs to have taken care of, and make sure the husband has food, he got some work because he's working today out at the home, and trying to also make sure that I'm showing up for my parents who are aging and still running my business. And so I'm holding on to all of these different hats. And this morning, I had to share with my youngest in particular that, okay, today's the day that you're going to go get your cell phone repaired. And she was furious with me and just furious of the situation in general because she knows that that's going to require money that she's been saving. And she's done such a good job with saving. I'm really extremely proud of her. And at the same time, one of the things that she's also learning is just responsibility. And that if you do break something, it is your responsibility to fix it. Nobody else's responsibility to do that. It's yours. And so she has not been always the most careful with her phone. She leaves it different places, drops it, and there's cracks in the screen. So she's going to have to get that repaired. So already this morning kind of started off a little bit challenging. And so I'm like, okay, let me make sure she eats. Let me make sure she takes her supplements. Let me make sure that she's got some good water in her because I know that all of these things are important. Let me make sure that I'm also supporting her and validating her experience because that sucks as a kid to have worked so hard, saved all this money, and then you're realizing that some of the carelessness that you had, you have to be responsible for that. That sucks. And I get it. And I have 100% validated her on that. Some of you out there may be like, well, how do you just pay for it, Virginia? You're a grown up, you can easily pay for that. And I would say, you're right, I could pay for that. However, I have also worked with so many adult clients whose parents never taught them to hold appropriate responsibility. And when they can't hold that appropriate responsibility as a kid, they grow up and they become adults who can't hold appropriate responsibility. So they show up in a partnership and can't hold appropriate responsibility. They should go to the workplace and cannot hold appropriate responsibility. They sit with themselves in their own households and cannot hold appropriate responsibility. this is a place where, for me as a parent and something that my husband and I have agreed on, is this is a place where we feel like this is an appropriate amount of responsibility for our child to be able to hold it. Okay. So, like, because it's hard to talk about because it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing because these are the spots where, as a parent, I know for me, I feel like a failure, even though I feel like I'm trying to do and make the best decisions that I could possibly make for my children. I still come back feeling like a failure. Okay. Just full disclosure. So I'm like, okay, so I've validated her experience. We've got all these things we need to do in the day. Let's shift into something else, some healthy distractions, so that she has some other things to focus on. She was in a better mood, things are chipper, things are feeling better in the day. And so, okay, we're gonna be good. We're gonna be good. Both my youngest child and my oldest, again, they're doing even extra chores today that they don't have to do. These are just things that they're doing because they want to make a little extra money for summer and they want to have some extra money for back to school because I have told them whatever they save by the end of the summer, I will double that because I do want my kids to know how to save money. So they're both kind of working on some things. I'm like, okay, great. Y'all are working on some things you want to work on. I'm going to work on getting my stuff together to do this video. And so we're all in good spots. Everything's taken care of. The morning is moving smoothly. My youngest was outside scrubbing the patio, something she's doing to make some extra money. And I'm like, absolutely. She's done it in the past, does a beautiful job. I haven't paid her in the past in a way that we agreed to beforehand, but she's just done it because she's like, this needs to be done. And it was so beautiful. I did give her money for that. So she's doing this intentionally this time, knowing that she's going to be paid. And so I know she's outside. I'm getting ready to start my video inside. And so I go outside and let her know, hey, make sure you get some extra water. 'Cause we're in Northwest Florida and it's hot as all get out here, y'all. I go outside, make sure, hey, baby, I'm getting ready to start my video. You need to figure out if you're going to be outside or inside because if you're going in and out, that's going to disrupt the video with the audio. So I need you to make a choice. Again, appropriate responsibility. So she comes in. I'm like, okay, well, since you're coming in, I need you to, I forgot to mention, sorry, sidebar. Their school, one of the things that they're doing is encouraging children to read and also just having them be more well-versed in literature. So this is the first time that the school has ever assigned reading during the summer. And my kids are big readers. I'm so grateful for that. So grateful. So I'm reminding my youngest child, my oldest is already sitting down her book, and I'm already letting my oldest child know, hey, don't forget to jot that down your log. My youngest child, she's coming in, and I'm just reminding her, I'm like, hey, I'm getting ready to start my video. And, so I won't be available to talk. But what I need for you to do is go ahead on and get your book for school. I don't think you had a chance with the errand that we were running earlier to go grab your book. As I am talking, she's consistently interrupting me. Consistently interrupting me. And so I'm like, what? But, and she just continues to interrupt. And so finally, I hit a breaking point. I just hit a breaking point. And I just started to cry, which is not something that I usually do in parenting. I can think of my mom, this would have been one of those times if y'all, you got a black mom, you know what I'm talking about. That backhand, and then that backhand comes so quick. You don't see the backhand, the only thing you do is you see the hand coming back. And so all of these things in terms of my parenting and the choices that I have made to choose to not. And again, this is no shade against parents who use corporal punishment. I get it. I believe that there's a difference between corporal punishment and abuse. But for me and for my kids and for their nervous system, I believe that it is best for them and for my parenting not to raise them that way. That's what I believe. And so to have my child my love, who have been so patient with all day long. And all morning long, today's just begun all morning long. And I'm literally reminding her, well, so she has something that she can do to be quiet because I don't have time to keep redirecting her while I'm in the video. And again, my kids are neurospicy. I'm a neurospicy parent. I just don't have the time to do that right now. She has to be able to hold appropriate responsibility and to be able to have a task, to make some choices, but to stick to those choices for at least 15 to 20 minutes. That's appropriate responsibility for her. And I just looked at and cried because everything that was coming at me in that moment is all of the comments from my mother in terms of, see, I would have flattened her, I would have this, I would have that, you would have been glad to go mad, like, and all those things are true. All those things are true. All those things are true. You can't help but not get to a place where you feel like a failure. So I almost didn't do the video at all today. But I realized that there is somebody out there who is trying to rewrite their story, trying to parent in a way that fits their nervous system, that fits their child's nervous system a little bit better than maybe what they were given. I know that there's a parent out there who's hearing this. I also know that there's probably children out there who may be watching this and may be like, well, I'm glad that you're trying, or what have you. I don't know what they're thinking from the child's point of view because I can't see that part right now. Right now, my nervous system is sitting with the adult's point of view, and my own inner child's point of view, wishing that there were times that my mom was a little bit more patient, wishing that there were times where maybe my mom had a conversation with me instead of the vacuum that comes so quickly that you don't even see it coming. So back to window of tolerance. I know that my youngest child, I know that there are times this morning where she was out of window of tolerance. She was in hyperarousal. She was feeling angry. She was feeling irritable, faster heart rate. All of these things, this kind of heightened place that we can only hold hyperarousal for so long until we swing to the opposite end and we just kind of crash and go to hypoarousal. And so what hypoarousal looks like is sometimes people describe it as being on autopilot. Sometimes people describe it as being checked out. I've heard people say they just have low energy. I've heard some people say they feel like they are depressed. They're just disconnected. They're watching themselves. Um, all these different types of terms that people will use for that space. So I knew that she was already tipping out of her window of tolerance. So the window of tolerance is when we move to one extreme or the other. The best is to be able to be in the middle where they're in some stress. That is a place where we can take appropriate responsibility. And so for me as a parent, I know that if my child is getting close to the end of her window of tolerance, I need to be able to use my nervous system to come in and help them support, which I have done that all this morning. So, but then there came a point in time where it's like, okay, now I just need you to hold your responsibility. And she came back at me several times. And I didn't get that moment. As I was tracking her window of tolerance, I was moderately tracking mine. I didn't realize that I was so close to hyperarousal. I just didn't realize that I was there. And so I broke down. I had to go to another room. I had to excuse myself and just cry. And you know, it's which I can't tell you the last time I've been in that. But I just at a place I needed to go to a separate room and just do that. Because what I didn't want to do is I didn't want to take it out on my child. I didn't want to take it out on my child. As I feel like things are sometimes taking it out. Y'all, this takes a lot of energy. It's real cute talking about being a cycle breaker. It's real cute talking about changing generational patterns until your nervous system is actually doing the thing, right? My nervous system is doing the thing in real time. So I need to take a break. I just need to just fall apart for a moment because I can't hold on together. I can't hold all of these things and have my child coming back at me and coming back at me and interrupting me, won't let me get a sentence out. I can't. And so, what does that mean for you? As you just kind of just watch me, like essentially still recovering from a meltdown. What that means for you, number one, if you're a parent, if you're a mentor, you're an auntie, you're an uncle, you're somebody that's in some sort of position of power that is trying to help mentor, teach, guide somebody else. Sometimes we have to take a break from trying to regulate somebody else's nervous system to take a break and regulate our own. And sometimes I can regulate my nervous system with just taking a deep breath. This time I was pushed way too far, way too much, way too far, way too hot outside. So I dipped much further out of my window of tolerance than I have in a while, in a while. So I needed to have a meltdown. I, I just needed to cry. I needed to scream into a pillow. I needed to go into another room because the last thing that I wanted to do was to take this out on my child. That is a appropriate responsibility for me as a parent. That is my job. And so what I want for her, it's one thing to help and to teach and to nurture her nervous system and to nurture my other teenagers' nervous system. It's a whole other thing for them to watch me in real time, to watch me struggle, but to also watch me not take it out on them, to watch me hold appropriate responsibility. I can't expect them to hold appropriate responsibility if I'm not going to do it myself. So my challenge to you My challenge to you is in those relationships, see where you're holding your responsibility. Are you holding too much responsibility? Are you holding too little? Or are you right there in a sweet spot for appropriate responsibility? There came a point in time this morning where it was just too much. And I needed to step back and I needed to take a break before I said something that my kid is going to end up needing therapy for later, or before I did something that I was going to regret, my child was going to regret. I needed to step away. And so I am saying that to say this. If you are finding yourself as a parent and having a meltdown just like I did this morning, that is not a sign that you are a failure. That is a sign of you fighting against all of the training, all of the socialization, all of the programming that you received beforehand as you're trying to do something really different. Pay attention to all the data that your body is giving you. And the only way that you can do that is by actually slowing down, taking a break, and meeting the needs that your body has in that moment. Because if you can give yourself permission to do that, you are also giving your kids, you're also giving those that you mentor, those that you're teaching and pouring into the next generation, you're giving them permission by them watching you do it. So my name is Virginia. I'm a licensed mental health therapist. Thank you so much for the time that you have spent with me today. This is a very different video, and hopefully I'll be much more regulated in my other videos. And if you've not subscribed to my channel, I do ask that you would take that time to do that. I appreciate you. And until next time, see you later.